You are at Lake Rant, where I rant about whatever my $15 a month plus patrons want me to rant about. You can get one of these by being one of those. This one is for Makula Torin, who says, rant about your Dissecting Log Horizon series. I'm interested that all these people keep asking me to rant about my own videos, because usually there's not a huge story behind them. My videos come together very quickly. I usually have an idea, and I just run with it immediately and do it. But the Dissecting Log Horizon series basically just came from me and May decided to watch Log Horizon. Something I've been trying to do in my life more and more over the years is to just embrace spontaneity and doing things because I feel like it and not worrying about what makes for a video. Because, like, historically, I used to basically only watch stuff if I thought I could make a video about it. Like, I only ever watched things because I thought it would be a good video. You know, I either watch it for a project where I say, okay, I'm going to make, like, a studio rundown. I'll watch everything by the studio. Or, like, I'm going to cover some currently just finished shows. Let me go watch all the just finished shows. I'm going to do Finish or Fail. Let's watch all that stuff. Like, it's difficult for me to convince myself to spend time watching something that I don't know will have a video come out of it because I'm always pressuring myself to get stuff out. So, like, this was one of those times where I was like, alright, fuck all that. I just want to watch Log Horizon with May because she hadn't seen it yet and I, talk about it all the time. I think I had just been telling her how much I thought she would love Akatsuki and how she would relate to Akatsuki, and I was like, you should watch this show. So we did. We binged it in like 4 days or so, and she loved it. We had a great time, and it just made me want... Well, it was because it was the first time I finished Season 2. Like, when Season 2 was airing, I had only watched the first half of it while it was going, and then just never got around to the rest. So I had always heard people, like, kind of shitting on Season 2. And, like... I agree that the pacing's not as good and the animation's not as good in Season 2. Like, there's definitely things that are worse about it. But the story is no worse than Season 1. It feels like the same train of thought. Like, it just continues where the first season left off. And I was still very invested in it. I still thought it was a great show. So, like, when I finished Season 2, I was like, man, I don't understand how, like, so many people dislike this so much. Like, do they not get out of the first season what I got out of it? And then I figured, like, Log Horizon's a pretty well-liked show. It's fairly popular. It gets well reviewed, but I don't think anybody liked it as much as I did. Like, I had gotten so much out of it, and I don't see a lot of people put it in their favorites list or their best of list the way that I do. So I thought, maybe if you hated Season 2 so much compared to Season 1, then you just didn't appreciate the same things about Season 1 that I did. So let me make a video explaining what I appreciated about this show, eventually leading up to a defense of Season 2. And at the time, I was also just, like, trying to make big, long video series that I could basically just ship off to Devu, because that was what I had done with the Steins Gate series. Like, Steins Gate versus Steins Gate 0, I basically wrote the whole thing in a couple of days, sent it to Devu, and he just, worked on it all month in making these 4 parts. So, like, that's an ideal way for me to work, because I can write really gigantic videos really fast. Editing it is the problem, Editing it takes a lot of time, and if I spend a lot of time editing a video, then that means I'm not working on the next one, So, especially in this time when I was trying to work on I Am Games, I thought, I'll toss these huge video series to Devu, and that will give me time to just go play video games and review them on I Am Games and try to launch that as a venture, which didn't really pan out. But, and neither did these videos, because none of them were that successful. Like, the Steins Gate videos and the Log Horizon videos underperformed to what I would have hoped, Some of them got more views over time, but it was never, people were not as hype about these series as they are about some of my other big, long series. So, yeah, like, the Log Horizon ones, basically, I wrote the first couple pretty quickly, but the problem with it is that I was going to have to rewatch the whole show. And I had just watched the whole show, so I wasn't, like, aching to rewatch 50 episodes of this show. And, I had other things I wanted to do. I wanted to play all these video games and get to work on that other stuff. So it was slow going writing each part. Like it was mostly about convincing myself to sit down and go through the episode and write about everything. Because again, I hadn't planned this. It wasn't supposed to be a series, so I hadn't taken any notes. I hadn't written things down. So doing the first few episodes was easier because I was picking apart every single second of it essentially, and just play pause. Let's write about this scene. Let's write about that scene. By the time I got to part 5, I basically was like, okay, I think I've covered all the basic shit. Like, I've covered basically all the stuff that makes the show good. So, at this point, there's only so many new things to say other than the show continues doing those things that I said. And I wrote about 8 minutes worth of part 5, which just clarifies why I think that the scenes with the kids are good, like why I like the arc of the kids, and just a general defense of that. But I was basically just going to cover the whole rest of season 1 in this last video, and I just never brought myself to rewatch the whole season to do that. Because this was all meant to lead up to, again, a defense of season 2, but I've basically said everything. Season 2 continues to have the properties that I have laid out about why I liked season 1. So again, because my real conceit was if you didn't like season 2, it's probably because you didn't see things the same way I do. Well, now that you see things the way I see it, you should be able to apply it to season 2. And I appreciate that that's not really the way to make a satisfying YouTube video. But for my interest in doing it, it's no longer fun once I've made my point. I don't like repeating myself. I don't like having to, write this extra bit just because it will, bring it all home if there's no passion remaining, if it's just me rewatching 30 episodes of a show so I can say, and then it stayed good. I guess basically I just should have planned it better from the start. I should have made it, I shouldn't have tried to go through the whole show in order. I should have just made it about the whole show and focused on more totalizing elements. But it's difficult for me because I tend to like shows for every little specific thing that happens. It's a show doesn't make my favorites list just because there's one overarching reason that it's good. It makes my favorites list because moment to moment a lot of fun things or a lot of cool things happen. And that's why when I talk about shows I like, it tends to take fucking forever. So, yeah, well, it's not that the series could never be completed, but, I feel like I made the point already. So, I guess maybe if people were to raise criticisms of Season 2 with me and I were to just answer them, that would be a better way for me to go about, what I think, why I would defend it. But, because other than pacing and animation issues, I don't really get what people don't like about it, personally. That's all.